Good morning, David. Do you want some cookies?
Sure, Miss Rosie.
Just wait right there on the sidewalk. I'll bring them to you.
While I was waiting, Mark's golden retriever jumped on me and started licking my face.
Max, stop that! Oh my gosh, David, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Max is my dog too.
Mark, do you want some cookies?
This was what a typical walk in my neighborhood was like. Ever heard of Sweet Magnolias? My town was just like that, but better. Everyone was so friendly and it was so safe that you could go to sleep with all your doors and windows wide open. We all shared with each other and there was never really a sad moment. But a crazy mystery that had been kept from me was about to ruin all of this. Keep watching to find out how. I lived with my mom, dad, and older sister, Laura Lee. My dad worked in tech and my mom was your typical housewife, like most of the women in my neighborhood. Laura Lee and I looked nothing alike though. She had straight black hair and she looked a bit Asian. I, on the other hand, had brown hair and blue eyes. We were not only totally different from each other, but we also looked nothing like our parents. We'd always tease them and ask them if they found us in baskets on their doorstep. We had no other family around. In fact, I'd never met any other family members. No grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nothing. My parents convinced us that it was because they all lived far away. Then they changed the topic to something nice, like a discussion about family vacations, which we took a lot. That was the only weird thing, but we didn't care because our mom and dad were amazing. I didn't have a single worry, and maybe my biggest struggle in life was trying to figure out a math equation. Which brings me to my school, which was awesome too. All my friends there also lived near my house, so we'd always hang out in somebody's garage after school. Or we'd go to eat somebody's mom's cake, or we'd play video games or baseball. When I look back, I think that those were some of the happiest days of my life. But like I said, that was about to change soon. One day in history class, we were discussing World War I and how many families were affected. Our teacher told us that she was convinced that some of our ancestors had either fought in the war or been influenced by it.
So here's what I want you to do for me. Tonight, I want you to speak to your parents to try and dig up a bit of your family history. I want to know your great-great-grandfather's name and what he did for a living. This is a very simple assignment which is worth 50% of your grade this term.
That night, I decided to bring it up to my mom and dad. Mom, Dad, I need to bring some information about my great-great-grandfather to class tomorrow.
Why?
It's homework and it's worth 50% of my history grade this term. My mom choked on her broccoli and my dad began to tap her on the back.
Oh my gosh, get her some water. Are you okay, honey?
I'm fine. Now, are we still taking that trip to the Caribbean at the end of the month?
We're going to the Caribbean?
Yes, dear.
Then they started talking about the resorts where we'd be staying. And to be honest, I forgot all about my homework because I was so excited. Later that night, after everyone was asleep, I was up talking to my friends online when I remembered the homework. I decided to go to my dad's office to see if I could find anything there. He usually locked it, but he kept it open that night. I went through his filing cabinet, but found nothing there. I opened every single drawer, but all I found were documents that had nothing to do with our family. Finally, I checked his desk. I realized that there was one drawer that was locked. I looked around on his desk for the key, but I couldn't find it. As I was about to give up and go to bed, I noticed a shiny little object on the floor. I picked it up and realized it was the key. I tried to open the drawer. At first it wouldn't budge, but then I twisted it again with all my strength. Inside, there was just one big old-looking book. I took it out and opened it. It was a photo album, but it wasn't like an ordinary family album. As I flipped through the pages, I noticed that it was filled with pictures of babies with what appeared to be their parents. They were people of all races, and it even seemed like the pictures had been taken in different locations around the world. Who were all of those people? Then I heard footsteps approaching. I put the book back in the drawer and locked it quickly. I kept the key and ran up to my bedroom without anybody noticing. The next day at school, I didn't have my homework and my answers made no sense to the teachers.
Where's your homework?
I tried to do it, but my parents kept changing the topic.
Ridiculous.
Then I tried to snoop around the house for information, but I found nothing.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I'm serious. It's like he didn't exist. Or maybe my family just doesn't want to tell me anything about him.
You could have just told me the dog ate your homework. That would have been more believable. Anyway, you have detention after school today.
What? No. Oh, come on. The rest of the day was a drag. I did tell you that I had great friends, and they proved themselves to me that day. They waited for me outside until my detention was over, and when I was finally free, they suggested that we go to the pizza place downtown. Pizza is one of my favorite things in the universe, so that automatically cheered me up. They paid for everything, and I had a feast. But somewhere in the middle of my 10th slice, I noticed a silly-looking man in a green suit staring at me. He had the biggest eyes I'd ever seen and a long blonde mustache. He sort of looked like he was an actor on the set of some strange movie, or a time traveler, or an alien who wasn't sure how humans dressed, so he just decided to wing it. "What are you looking at?" He smiled and looked away. Weird. After eating all of that pizza, I went to one of the guys' homes to play video games, then I went home. As soon as I opened my front door, I started to feel angry again. My parents were in the living room watching a movie with Laura Lee. Hey, thanks to you guys, I got a detention today.
What are you talking about, honey?
I told you I had homework. You refused to tell me anything about my great-great-grandfather. I told my teacher the truth, but she didn't believe me. So not only did I get punished, but now she thinks I'm a liar. Which is worse, I am not a liar.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, sweetie. We'll go in there and talk to them tomorrow. That's really unfair. But soon this term will be over, and you'll be able to have some fun. Have you already started packing for our Caribbean vacation?
Not this again. I stormed up to my room. I stayed in there until everyone had gone up to their rooms. Then I went downstairs to the kitchen because I was starving. In the middle of my second salami sandwich, I started thinking about the album again. I stuffed my face, went back to my room to get the key, and went back to my dad's office to investigate. I took the album out and looked through it again, and then I found a picture that looked just like me as a baby. Except I was being held by a man and woman I'd never seen in my whole life. I flipped through the other pictures carefully. Then I saw one that looked just like Laura Lee. I went straight up to her room and barged inside. "Sis."
Oh my god, have you ever heard of knocking?
"Sorry, but this is an emergency. Look at this."
What is that?
"It's an album that was locked in a drawer in Dad's desk. Look here." I pointed to the baby I thought looked just like I did when I was little.
It's you, I think. But what are you doing with these people?
"And look at this." I flipped to the page where I thought I saw Laura Lee.
Whoa, that's definitely me. But who are these people holding me?
"Sis, I think our parents are keeping secrets from us. Don't you think it's strange that they can never tell us anything about our family? We've never met any of their relatives. We've just been here in this perfect neighborhood since we were little."
Maybe you're overthinking it.
Overthinking? So who are all those other kids then? I flipped through the pages and she looked confused.
We've got to investigate this. Okay, I have an idea.
What?
I'll scan a few of these pictures and use Google image search to see what I can find out about them. I'll tell Mom and Dad I'm sick tomorrow, and I'll just stay in my room to do all of that. Leave the album here with me tonight. Try and get some rest, and we'll talk again tomorrow night. Oh, yeah, and sorry about your homework. I know you were upset about that. I hope you feel better later.
Oh, thanks. Good night. I went to bed feeling a bit better, but also extremely freaked out. The next day after school, I went straight to Laura Lee's room. So, did you find anything?
No, nothing at all.
Did you search for every single picture?
No, just a few random ones.
Did you search for mine?
No.
I rolled my eyes, took the album, scanned the picture, then uploaded it to Google image search. Immediately, a few thousand results popped up. I clicked the first one. It was an article written when I was about 1 year old. The headline was, "Baby Kidnapped While Family Was Sleeping." I read on. "Mr. and Mrs. McGregor woke up to find their baby's crib empty this morning. Officials suspected that baby Kevin had been abducted. This is not the first in a series of baby abductions, which have been on the rise lately." I stopped. I couldn't read on. I showed it to Laura Lee and her eyes nearly popped out of her head.
What did the other articles say?
We scrolled down and they were all the same. A baby had been kidnapped by smugglers. There were even a few conspiracy theorists who believed that the baby had been abducted by aliens. Do you really think it's me? I don't want to be called Kevin. Ew.
That's your exact face in the pictures,
she said while pointing to one of my baby pictures, which was in a frame on her dressing table. Let's scan your picture now. We did the same thing and we got hundreds of results too. Baby kidnapped in Singapore. The articles were almost the same as the ones that were written about me. We decided to scan every single picture in the album, and it showed similar results for many pictures. They were all abducted babies.
So what does this mean?
I don't think Mom and Dad are our real parents. But what's even worse is that they may be criminals. What if all these babies were kidnapped and smuggled too?
How do we find out?
We'll have to find a way to collect their DNA samples. Then we'll do a test. That's the only way. The next week was very weird. We bought some DNA testing kits and we tried to collect samples from our parents. This was a real challenge, but we managed to get our hands on their glasses just after they finished drinking one. A week later, the test results came back. Laura Lee held the envelope in her room and we opened it together. It proved the horrifying truth. Laura Lee was not my biological sister, and that man and woman we lived with, they weren't our parents.
What are we going to do?
I don't know.
I don't think we should do anything.
Why?
Well, we're comfortable here. They've given us a happy life. I don't want everything to change. Think about what could happen. They could get arrested. We'd be sent away. Do you really want that to happen?
I thought about it for a while, then decided I really didn't want my life turned upside down. And she was right. They had given us a happy life. So we did nothing about the situation. We packed for our Caribbean vacation like nothing was wrong. But the night we had planned to leave went all wrong. We had just brought all our luggage downstairs and we were ready to put them in the trunk when the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw that same strange man in the green suit that I had seen at the pizza place a few weeks earlier. What do you want?
Where are your parents?
Mom, Dad, some weirdo's at the door. My parents came to the door. Then suddenly, I saw 2 policemen appear behind the strange man.
You're under arrest for kidnapping and trafficking.
Did you tell?
No! We are so sorry, children.
Apparently, the weirdo was an investigator, and they'd gotten a lead somehow. He explained to us that our parents had been wanted for a very long time, and that they were not even using their real names. They were notorious baby kidnappers and smugglers, and they'd have to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Laura Lee and I were split apart and sent to live with our real families. I was devastated. The story was all over the news. I had to fly 3 states away, and by then, my biological parents had 3 other children who all looked like me. I don't hate them, but I still prefer the people I originally called Mom and Dad. And I miss Laura Lee like crazy.
I watched as an older lady attempted to cross the road. Immediately, I stepped towards her. "Do you need help to cross the road?" The lady nodded, and I extended my elbow for her to hold on to. The older lady chatted politely as we crossed the road. Once we got to the other side, she turned to me.
Thank you, young man.
I nodded and pulled my hoodie over my face and walked away quickly. My story is pretty unusual, and it changed my whole life. If you want to know more about my experience, keep watching. I've always been very picky with what I eat and the number of times I exercise each week because I'm a competitive swimmer. When I sat with my friend during lunch, I'd comment about the other girls who were larger than I was, but were on the swimming team. I told my friends that those other girls didn't deserve to be on the swim team until they lost weight. I was also a popular girl and dated the most handsome guy at school, Kendall, who was the captain of the hockey team.
Gigi, you should really stop speaking about your teammates like that.
Kendall said during lunch one day. Why? I'm not saying anything wrong. If they lose a few pounds, then maybe they can win a match or 2, instead of the rest of us having to push harder to hide their flaws.
You do know that you have flaws, right?
I laughed hysterically. Me? Flaws? I don't have any flaws.
You snore when you sleep, you eat with your mouth open, you never pluck your eyebrows equally.
I think you should stop.
Why? I was just getting started.
Kendall smiled.
Feels rotten when somebody speaks badly about you, doesn't it?
It did feel horrible, but I wasn't about to admit that to Kendall. I dismissed Kendall and focused on my friends as we laughed at Tammy as she walked by.
Did you guys see that unibrow?
Lisa laughed. Tammy ran away. My friends and I cackled. Kendall got up from the table.
I can't do this anymore.
Do what?
I can't be with someone who makes fun of other people. It's cruel and barbaric. I don't think this relationship will work out.
Kendall gathered his stuff and walked away. I yelled at him. I don't need you. You are replaceable. Good riddance. No way I was going to let Kendall embarrass me the way he did in front of my friends. The next day, I had a new boyfriend, Levi. I paraded him around Kendall every chance I got. I'd either kiss him or laugh scandalously at one of his corny jokes. That weekend, my friends and I went to the mall. Oh, look at the blue dress in the window. That would look so good on me. I didn't look where I was going and collided with an older gentleman. The contents from the brown bag that he held in his hand was mixed with the contents of my purse, which was scattered on the ground.
I'm so sorry,
the old man said. It's okay, let's just get it cleaned up, okay? I handed the man the contents for his bag and placed my contents back in my purse. After he got everything, the old man thanked me and walked away. My friends and I continued our shopping spree, and I did get the blue dress. Every morning I exercise, eat breakfast, and take my supplement pill. But one day I looked in the mirror and realized something about me was different. I had a 5 o'clock shadow on my upper lip. I quickly got a disposable shaver and shaved my upper lip. Not only did I nick myself, but the shadow was still there.
Gigi, if you aren't downstairs in 5 minutes, I'm leaving without you.
Mom yelled up the stairs. I grabbed a scarf and wrapped it around my neck so it covered my mouth. Mom looked at me curiously, but she didn't ask, and I didn't say anything. Before class, I didn't even look for my friends. I went straight to class. I didn't want to be seen. During history class, Mrs. Farnsworth looked at me.
Gigi, in what year did the Haitian Revolution begin?
1792, I mumbled through the scarf.
I can't hear you, Gigi. Please remove the scarf and answer the question.
I slowly removed the scarf, but I placed my hand over my mouth and answered. Annoyed, Mrs. Farnsworth glared at me.
Miss Bernard, do you need to answer the question in the principal's office?
I shook my head and reluctantly removed my hand. The guy who sat next to me pointed at my upper lip.
Gigi, is that a mustache you're growing?
The class pointed at me and laughed. I wrapped my scarf around my mouth and sank into my chair as Mrs. Farnsworth tried to get the class under control. By lunchtime, when I walked down the hallway, students whispered as I passed. I stopped in my locker to store some of my books when Levi leaned on the locker next to mine.
Hey, baby, how about giving your boyfriend a kiss?
No, I slammed my locker door and walked away. Levi fell into step next to me.
You know there are lots of other girls in this school who are willing to kiss me. I guess I need to find one of them.
Levi walked away and I rolled my eyes. I thought my day couldn't get any worse, but I was totally wrong. During swim practice, Chelsea, one of my teammates, brushed past me to get the bench, and I stumbled into Harper. Harper yelled,
Ow, why are you so prickly? Did you eat porcupine for lunch?
The other members of the team laughed, and I moved away and stood in the corner till Coach called us to practice. Today was the day when Coach would pick the lead swimmers for our next national competition. After the day I had, I just couldn't get it together. After practice, Coach posted the list, and I was a substitute. Me! A substitute for a competition that I had trained hard for over the past few months. To top off my day, I saw a message from Mom. She said she couldn't pick me up and I had to walk home. As I walked out of the schoolyard, I heard Kendall's voice behind me.
Hey, Gigi, wait up.
I quickly wiped the tears from my eyes, but I didn't stop. When he caught up to me, he held my hand and stopped me.
I know you had a bad day. I just wanted to give this to you.
He handed me a bar of white chocolate. White chocolate was my favorite. Thank you, I mumbled and walked away. He fell into step beside me.
You know, you can eat it now if you want.
What is he thinking? Eat it now and reveal my 5 o'clock shadow? I wouldn't dare.
I know you want to.
Kendall said painfully.
You're safe with me.
He squeezed my hand. I slowly removed the scarf and flinched, waiting for Kendall to make a remark about my face, but he didn't say anything. I opened the wrapper and munched on the chocolate. Kendall and I chatted all the way home. I didn't realize how much I had missed him. The sound of his voice, his laugh, how he made me feel. We arrived in front of my house and Kendall turned to me.
Can I walk you to school tomorrow?
Sure, thanks for the chocolate and the company. Kendall kissed me on my cheek and walked away and I went into the house. The next morning, I woke up feeling good about myself. Then I looked through my social media and my face turned pale. My timeline was flooded with memes of me morphing into a porcupine. I ran downstairs with my phone and showed Mom. Mom looked at the memes and laughed. Mom, why are you laughing?
It takes a lot of creativity to come up with something like that. However, I can't have my only daughter looking horrible at school.
Mom touched my eyebrows.
Did you grow a unibrow overnight?
I covered my eyebrows.
Go and get ready. Today, you are going to get a full body wax.
Mom dropped me off at the spa and she said she'd come back in an hour. I was set up with a new worker and the process began. I cried throughout the entire process. I felt as though my skin was being ripped from my body. When Mom returned, she paid the bill and we walked out of the spa. Mom, is my skin supposed to burn like this?
Oh, honey, it's all part of the process. As the saying goes, it hurts to be beautiful.
Mom dropped me home and left for the day. I spent the rest of the day applying cold cloths to my now red and blotchy skin. I was so excited to finally remove the excess hair from my skin that I forgot about meeting Kendall. I tried to call him after school, but he didn't answer. I even tried calling Lisa and the others, but nobody picked up. Next day at school, I wore a long-sleeve turtleneck and jeans. I applied makeup on my face to hide the red blotches on my face. I met Lisa and the others at our usual spot in the morning, but they walked away. Lisa looked back at me.
Don't take this personally, but our reputations are on the line, and we can't be seen with the laughingstock of the school.
During lunch, I found a table at the back of the cafeteria where the school's outcasts sat.
Hi, is this seat available?
Kendall smiled as he sat down. Kendall, I'm so sorry about yesterday. Mom took me to get waxed, and I was so caught up I forgot to call you.
I figured something came up, especially after seeing the memes on social media. I'm so sorry you have to go through with this.
I cried. I don't know why this is happening to me. Is this payback for everyone I ever made fun of?
I think you should go to the doctor to figure out what's wrong with you.
I dried my eyes. I hope they can help because I'm not sure how much longer I can put up with this. Kendall dried my eyes.
Everything will be okay, and I'm here for you if you need me.
Mom took me to Dr. Herschel the very next day. He did some blood work and then asked me a few questions.
Giggy, have you been taking any new medication?
No, the only thing I've been taking is my vitamin supplements every day.
Do you have the bottle here?
Yes, I always carry it with me. I dug in my purse, pulled out a bottle of supplements, and handed it over to Dr. Herschel. After he looked at the bottle, Dr. Herschel looked at me concerned.
Giggy, where did you get this?
He turned the bottle so I could read the label. My jaw dropped. The pills belonged to Frank Holland, and they weren't supplements. They were Xeljanz.
What is Xeljanz?
Mom asked.
It's an experimental drug for rheumatoid arthritis. My question is, how did you get a hold of this?
My mind ran back to the day at the mall when I had bumped into the old man. I told Dr. Herschel. That's when the mix-up probably occurred.
Gigi, you need to be more observant.
Mom scolded.
Those pills could have killed you.
We don't know all of the side effects of this drug because it's still in its trial phase. However, it seems that you're now suffering from a hirsutism, which is a condition where people grow more hair than usual.
Is there a cure?
There are some medications that I can prescribe that may be able to detox your system, but it may take a few months before you see the results.
After the visit, Mom and I thanked Dr. Herschel, and Mom gave me a lecture on the drive home from Dr. Herschel's office about being observant and watching the prescription of medications before I put them into my body. As soon as I got home, I called Kendall and told him about the doctor's visit. We chatted on the phone and about school and our plans for the upcoming summer vacation. When Mom called me to dinner, I told Kendall I'd see him at school the next day. We said our goodbyes and I hung up. Over the next few months, Kendall and I spent more time together and we were inseparable. We weren't in a relationship, but it was as good as it gets. My hairy skin was back to normal after a few months, and my skin had a special glow to it now. One by one, my friends came back until we were all sitting around the table for lunch and hanging out at the mall. I can't pinpoint the exact day when Kendall stopped sitting with me for lunch. I did feel bad for not sitting with Kendall anymore, but there was no rule that said I only had to sit with Kendall for lunch. He was still allowed to sit with me, but he had chose not to, and we were allowed to have other friends. Even though I sat with my friends, I felt empty inside. I didn't feel as genuine as before. I realized that I missed Kendall, and without him, I wouldn't have made it through the last couple of months. I got up from the lunch table and went in search of Kendall. I saw him speaking with a girl and walked up to them. Hey, Kendall, can I speak with you for a moment?
Sure, what's up?
Can I speak with you privately? I looked at the girl who stood next to him.
No, we either speak here or not at all.
I swallowed hard. Okay, fine. I wanted to tell you that I missed you and asked if you'd like to eat lunch with me tomorrow. Kendall shook his head.
I really hope that your experience changed you, but you're the same Gigi from before. You only think about yourself. You can't just ignore me for 2 weeks and expect me to be okay with that and still want to be friends with you. I think it's best if we went our separate ways. We come from different worlds. I'm in mine, and you should stay in yours.
I watched as Kendall walked away and held the hand of the girl he was with. My heart sank, and I knew I lost someone that meant something to me. I took advantage of Kendall's kindness because it made me feel good. It's okay to have friends from different walks in life, but it's not okay to use people who only have your best interests at heart.
So, what's your secret?
What?
We're the same age, but you look like a man and I still look like a kid. How did you get your beard to grow?
Genes, bro, genes. My best buddy Ron had this conversation with me almost every day. We looked really different from each other, although we were both 16. I was tall, muscular, and I had a lot of facial hair. I had a really cool beard and a mustache that made the ladies faint. My voice was also deep and extremely attractive. Ron, on the other hand, looked and sounded like a baby.
I bought this beard growth serum the other day. I've been putting it on my face every night. I hope it works soon.
Don't worry, maybe you're just a late bloomer. It happens. Despite our differences, we were still good friends and we did almost everything together. Life was great. I also had an adorable girlfriend. Her name was Clara, and she was great for my ego.
Oh, Garth, you're so handsome and muscular, and I love your beard. You're the most gorgeous boyfriend on the planet.
Thanks, babe. My only real difficulty was fighting off all the other girls who wanted to be with me, too. I was a babe magnet. I guess they just love beards and muscles and that stuff. Luckily, Clara wasn't insecure, so that was great for me. Sadly, my awesome life was about to take a strange twist. Keep watching because it gets crazy. So one Friday night, Ron got the bright idea that we should sneak into a new club he'd heard about online. We were bored and there was nothing much to do anyway. We already had fake IDs, so that wasn't going to be an issue. I agreed and asked Clara if she wanted to come along, but she didn't. At about 10 o'clock, I told my mom and dad that I was going out for a while. What, did you think I was going to sneak out? Luckily, they're cool. I drove their car and went to pick up Ron. Then we drove about half an hour to the club. It was quite easy sneaking in, but as soon as I walked into the room, I felt like something was strange. But I decided not to think too much about it. It was quite dark, as clubs usually are, and there were people all over, dancing with glow sticks, drinking, laughing, and being really loud. I found us a seat in the corner and we ordered a few drinks while we continued to observe the strange people there. After drinking a little too much, I was ready to party. I danced my heart out, then sat down again, exhausted. Then this weird guy came to sit with us. He had a box of donuts and was smiling like a creep. Like, who comes to a club with donuts?
You guys hungry?
Yeah.
Have a donut.
I took 2 donuts because they're my weakness. After swallowing the last one, I felt a little light headache for a few seconds. Yeah, I'm so tired now though. After I dropped Ron off, I got home and went straight to sleep. I didn't even brush my teeth or anything. The next morning, I got up late, showered, got dressed, and went to see what was for breakfast downstairs.
Did you shave or something?
Me? No, why?
You looked different.
Different how?
I don't know, like younger.
I ate some pancakes, then went to look in the mirror. I nearly screamed. My beard had shrunk and my mustache was almost gone. But it wasn't just that. I noticed that I looked a bit smaller. I found the scale and weighed myself and realized that I was 15 pounds lighter. I had no idea what was going on, so I tried not to think too much about it. I played some video games, did some assignments, then went to hang out at Clara's house later.
Are you sick?
She stared at me like she was worried when she opened the door. No, I'm not. I feel fine. Why?
Oh, nothing.
We watched a movie, then I fell asleep on our couch because I was still tired from the night before. When I woke up, I noticed that Clara had fallen asleep too, so I just quietly got up and went home. But before I opened my front door, I noticed my reflection in the glass and I nearly fainted. All of my facial hair was gone. All of it. What the? I began to say. Then I realized that my voice sounded a little bit squeaky too. I didn't look or sound like a man anymore. This was a disaster. But what could have been the cause? I thought and thought, then it dawned on me. It was sleep. If I slept, I'd become younger. This made absolutely no sense. I decided not to sleep that night to see what would happen. The sun rose the next day and I saw that a few specks of my hair started to grow back. I stayed in my room all day because I didn't want anyone to see me. Then I convinced my mom that I was sick and couldn't go to school for the rest of the week. She believed me because, as you can tell by now, my parents are pretty easygoing. I stayed up for an entire week, and by the next Sunday, I was back to my usual manly self. This wasn't easy at all. I was practically surviving on coffee and energy drinks. I went to school the next week and no one noticed that anything was wrong with me. But this was where it became really hard. It's easy to keep yourself awake at home because you can find things you enjoy doing. But at school, during boring history lectures, I found myself dozing off several times and it was so hard to stay awake. By Wednesday, my eyes were bloodshot and everyone became concerned.
Garth, are you okay?
Yeah, Ron, why?
You look tired.
I'm so tired. Hey, if I tell you something, will you promise not to laugh?
Okay.
Ever since we went to that club, when I sleep, I wake up looking younger.
What? That makes no sense. Sounds like something straight out of a bad sci-fi movie.
The first time I fell asleep after we went to that club, I nearly lost all my facial hair. And the second time, I started sounding like a child. I also lost 15 pounds. I don't know why this is happening, and I don't know what to do to make it stop.
That sounds really weird. Did you do anything strange there? Did you use anything you weren't supposed to?
Not really. We did all the same things: dance, drink, eat donuts.
Donuts?
Yeah, remember that guy who came to sit with us?
I didn't eat any of them, though. Oh my gosh, maybe it was that. Maybe there was something in there.
We should try to go back there and find him.
Good idea.
We met later that night, and I drove us down there. That's weird. I could have sworn that this is where we came last time.
It is. The building is gone.
Oh no. We drove around the block for a while and then gave up. I really wanted to sleep, but I continued to fight it. Back home, I tried to see if I could Google my problem and maybe find a cure. I only got references to Benjamin Button, and according to mostly everyone, I was living a fantasy. This never happened to anyone before, and it simply wasn't normal. So was I part of some scientific experiment I didn't mean to sign up for? Or was this magic? I knew that only one person would have the answers, but I didn't even know who he was or where to find him. I was frustrated and extremely sad. To make things worse, I couldn't fight off the sleep anymore. I crawled into my bed and faded into dreamland. I usually dream a lot, but this particular dream was so vivid, I couldn't forget any of the details. I was walking near the mystery club, which was still missing in the dream. Around the corner, there was a small, vintage bookstore. I walked inside and looked around.
Hey, young man.
Hi?
The cure you need is right here. Try to find us when you wake up. We'll be waiting for you.
Are you sure? I hope this is for real. I've been so tired.
I know. See you soon.
Then he threw a book at my face and I woke up. Oh no, I fell asleep. I wonder what time it is. I checked the time and it was already midday. Then I touched my face. It felt as smooth as a baby's bottom. No! I ran to the mirror and nearly started crying. I looked younger than Ron now. I picked up my phone and dialed his number.
Hey!
Listen, I woke up looking like a child. It's so embarrassing. I feel like I can't ever go outside again. But here's the thing. I had this weird dream and some man told me I could find the cure in a bookstore. Would you come with me to find out?
Sure, buddy. I'll be over in 5.
I drove over to the same block with Ron. We parked and started walking around. After a few minutes, you won't believe it, I found the same bookstore from my dream. We walked inside and the same old man was standing behind the counter. Hi, can I have the cure now?
Hello? This is a bookstore, not a pharmacy. What exactly did you want?
You told me in a dream that the cure was here.
Young man, I have no idea what you're talking about.
When I sleep, I get younger, and you told me that you could fix this problem and that you were waiting for me.
Wow, what are they feeding kids nowadays? They've all gone crazy. Listen, boy, I don't know what you're talking about. I wish I could get younger every time I go to sleep. Anyway, do you want to buy a book?
No, I hate reading.
Suit yourself.
I was so angry and overwhelmed that I turned away from him and walked towards the door. Just as I was about to open it, a little boy walked in smiling.
Hi, Garth. Do you want a donut?
He winked. Oh my gosh, it's the cure. Yes. Wait, how do you know my name? He opened the box and let me have one. I took about 2 seconds to eat it. He was still smiling.
I hope everything works out for you now.
He said. Then instead of entering the store, he just walked down the block and eventually disappeared.
Well, that was weird. Do you think it's over now?
I have no idea. I'll fall asleep tonight and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
Cool. Since we skipped school today, we should go do something fun.
Yeah, good idea. We went to buy a whole bunch of snacks, then we went back to his house to play video games. I left when it started getting dark. I felt so happy and relieved that my problem would finally be over, and I could finally have a good night's sleep without worrying. I called my girlfriend to tell her I loved her and that I was sorry for being so weird lately. Then I took a shower and fell asleep. And the next morning, I woke up and everything was normal, wonderful, awesome. I'm just kidding. And I don't even know why I'm kidding about this because the situation was worse. Do you know what I saw when I looked in the mirror? Gray hair and wrinkles. It seemed like the problem had been reversed now and that every time I'd sleep, I'd get older. I walked over to Ron's house so he could see what happened.
Dude, you look awful. We gotta find that little kid and beat him up.
I just don't have the energy anymore. I just want to go back to sleep.
Maybe we should go to the doctor or something. None of this makes sense.
I know, but what would they give me? Tylenol? Ugh. Ron convinced me to go back to the bookstore, and by then the owner was so confused that he asked me to leave or he'd call the police. I went to see Clara next. When she saw me, she gasped.
What happened to you?
I explained the situation to her, and instead of breaking up with me like I expected her to do, she gave me a hug and told me not to worry.
We'll figure this out together. Besides, I think your white hair is cute.
So right now, I look like an old man because I haven't figured out how to solve this problem. My parents are freaked out and have consulted every medical professional in the country, but we've had no luck. I continue to get older and older each day, but everyone has continued to accept me the way I am. Well, the people who matter the most, I mean. Clara, Ron, and my parents. My classmates tease me a lot, but I don't really care. Someday, they'll all look like me anyway. Me anyway. Me anyway. Me anyway. Me anyway.